I just want to address something before I get into this video properly. I don't want this to be the new direction of the channel. I recognize that recently quite a lot of my videos have been directed towards actions of Kabam or criticizing Kabam, and as much as that does well for the channel, I don't like doing it. To those who know me, you know that in general I'm quite a chill guy. I don't get angry easily, but when I see stupidity or something that is just, or someone saying something that is just patently false, I have a platform and I feel that it's the duty of the content creator to point out when something stupid is going on. So believe me, over the next week or so, we're going to be streaming Wheel of Fate. We've got some great content coming in, some great like single champion deep dives, got some great ideas coming. So definitely stay tuned for that. This is not the new direction of the channel, but please, hopefully, leave me your thoughts about this in the comments below. Okay, now we can get into it. I really shouldn't need to make this video, but I do, so I will. As I'm sure you're aware, the Wheel of Fate just dropped in Marvel Contest Champions a few hours ago. People are already trying to tackle it, and it is shaping up to be a very, very challenging piece of content. I've had a look at the first quest. I've had a little go, trying to sink my teeth into the first couple fights, and that first quest, it will be difficult if we had access to all our rosters, but immediately we're being given these very restrictive champion pools that we can choose from, and I assume it's only going to get more restrictive as you go along. Obviously the quest repeats, the quest itself doesn't get any harder, but the champions you can use, that pool shrinks and shrinks as you go along. But I'm not going to complain about the difficulty of the quest. I imagine I'm part of a smaller group. I'm not part of the majority here, but I actually think this is quite fun, right? And I understand that not everybody's going to feel that way. I completely understand if you completely disagree with me. I can see where you're coming from. I just haven't been completely screwed over yet, right? I seem to have all the best options. So if you have those best options, this looks like quite fun content, very challenging content. But if you don't, I understand it's a roadblock and it's bullshit. But I'm not complaining about the difficulty of the content. That's not what we're here for today. In the live stream leading up to the announcement of Wheel of Fate, Kabam said that as a reward for completing the third quest, the most difficult quest with the biggest restrictions, you will get a selector of some of the defenders that are on this path, in this quest. And I'm reading through the forums now, and there's a bit of an argument going on. It talks about the exact wording, because everyone seems to say, oh, it's a selection of all the defenders, therefore Kabam are being misleading. And a couple guys are going out there saying, oh, it was a selection of, not a selection from all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what reason you want to come up with for why Human Torch is not in there, because Kabam provided their own reason, and it's infinitely worse. You know what? Kabam should hire some of these guys to do their PR announcements, because whichever one of his 3 brain cells Kabam Rex used to type this, I'd like to have a word with. Because it reads as follows. The Selector consists of the champions who exist at the time of the content's release. Human Torch and Thor Ragnarok are not included. I'm not going to complain about Thor Ragnarok. Not because he's bad. I don't see a reason why Kabam couldn't have just generated a 7-star version of his current kit and put him in there. I think that's kind of cool. I like Thor Ragnarok. Is he great? No. Would anybody pick him? Probably not. But it will be a neat addition. Human Torch is who I'm going to get angry about, because not only is this post weak and completely transparent that they want to lock this character behind the July 4th paywall, it's also patently false. I don't know what Kabam's definition of exists is, but if you go into the game and you go to Human Torch's profile, the 7-star version exists, right? You can look at it. If a champion is locked as a 6-star, for example, Kate Bishop, go to her profile page, you can only see as far as a 6-star because she is 6-star locked, right? That's it. Human Torch exists in the game as a 7-star, right? So that sentence is completely wrong. If they want to define it as exists at the time, it's still completely transparent. Human Torch, if you're not already aware, will be released as a 7-star character in the what's essentially the July 4th sales, and I imagine he is going to be locked behind the final milestone. Now, I could make an entirely separate video on the rate at which Kabam are releasing paywalled champions. All of the double track champions, Dark Phoenix, Human Torch, Captain Britain, obviously, these insane defenders are insane attackers. Kabam do not need that revenue stream, right? That's just greed. If you want to come into the comment section and say they need that revenue stream, look up Netmarble. Look up Kabam. They don't need it. They don't need it. So that's just false. It's obvious what's going on here. Human Torch, if you're newer to the game and you're newer to essentially Battlegrounds, if you don't already know, was the best Battlegrounds champion in the game. Insta-draft. He killed basically everything when Battlegrounds was first starting out, all the way up until like 6-star rank 4s, right? And then we had 6-star rank 5s and 7 stars, and then he kind of fell off like this. But Human Torch, one of the all-time greats in Battlegrounds. And when, the Heart of Fire came out, I made a predictions video where I said that 7-star Human Torch would be too far, and that if they released him, he would essentially dominate to such an extent that we would return to that age where Human Torch is just up here and no one else can compete. His Nova Flames are so ridiculous that it just allows him to go past everything. But then they released him, not in the Heart of Fire, which was a pay-to-win event in itself, but as a singular paywall champion, which is likely as expensive, if not more expensive, than getting Dark Phoenix. Right, and I have a feeling that Kabam know this. Kabam know that Human Torch is going to be that dominant, and even if you release defenders like Dark Phoenix, who are Nova Flame immune, that's one champion, right? He still has an entire game, an entire set of defenders to dominate that aren't immune to Nova Flame, and Kabam know he's going to be this dominant, so they put him behind this paywall to guarantee that 1,000 players pay £1,000 to earn Kabam millions in selling Human Torch. And they had an opportunity to be cool. They had an opportunity to balance this between effort you put into the game and money you put into the game with a ridiculously challenging piece of content. And that option was turned down. You had your chance, and you missed it. And you did that deliberately. This excuse for why Human Torch is not a 7-star is perhaps the most egregious, whale-milking clown fiesta of this entire thing. Because I imagine we will have drama around this. I'm kind of starting it. But this is the worst part. This is just unnecessary, greedy, just straight up unfair. And it's about as efficient as Kabam could have been about it. If you want to be unfair, this is how you do it. You made a claim that was unclear. You've gone back on what was implied by that claim. You said something which just straight up isn't true. And it's obvious that this is being done as an effort to place emphasis on spending £1,000 to get these insane characters instead of overcoming the difficult content and actually doing it. Those are the three things that are going on, and none of them are good. So I thought it would be helpful if I make this known and explain why this is just so ridiculous. You can come up with whatever reason you want for why Human Torch is not in that selector. That is the official reason. And I hope I've explained why that's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I wasn't going to make a video today, right? That's not what my aim was today. I've got a maths exam tomorrow, in fact, and, the revision's going very well. So I saw this and I thought, quick 10-minute video won't hurt. And, yeah, here we are. I apologise for being so ranty recently. People are being stupid. And I can't help that, unfortunately. So, this has just been a bad patch for Kabam right now. I'm sure we'll have some highs later on in the year. I hope we'll have some highs later on in the year. But for now, this is what we've got to live with. And if Kabam want to update these rewards, I think you have about 2.5 hours before Barrowman gets through it. So, balls in your court. Right. Goodbye.